Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, I'm thankful to the Honourable Member from Umroi and all the other members who have participated and raised this important issue relating to the increase in price of essential items affecting people in the state. As per the newspaper clipping, under the caption Hakasien Bandingkong Ba Ukubi Unpoi Hadu Sanpao Tinka Shikilo, published in the Khasi newspaper Rupang dated 20th of April, the price of cabbage in Yodo on 20th of April 2022 is rupees 50 per kg, which is the highest so far. So there are many reasons, as has been mentioned by most of the participants in this particular discussion, for increase in prices. And some are global in nature, some are national in nature, and some, of course, are local in nature. And there are certain things which can be controlled at our level, and certain things which are, in a way, outside the purview or control of the state government. So having said that, I'd just like to touch on a few of them and move forward with also some steps taken by the state government. And third, try to address some of the concerns that the honorable members have mentioned. So the first point is the rise and fall of agriculture produce especially, and of course of most of the products in general, is mainly based on supply and demand forces in the market. Other factors also as climate, logistics, the season, volume, and source of production also play a huge role in determining the price of the produce. So it is indeed a fact that earlier this year, in the month of April 2022, there was a temporary rise in the price of cabbage and tomatoes in Khasi Hills region. And this was due to the fact that most of these vegetables come from Assam to Yodo market. And by the time the local production does not really generally pick up in our state, leading to demand exceeding the supply and a consequent increase in the prices of these vegetables. The month of April also saw a very high number of tourists also coming into Khasi Hills, which further added to the demand for these different vegetables. Unfortunately also this year, both our state and the neighboring state suffered heavy flooding, which caused extensive damage to agriculture and horticulture crops. This also caused a huge shortfall in the supply of essential items such as vegetables, causing a sudden increase in the price of cabbage and tomatoes, as mentioned in the newspaper article. So the prices of seasonal crops, especially perishables like fruits and vegetables, are also cyclical in nature. If prices during preceding years are lower, then the farmers sow a lesser quantity of that particular crop in the following year. And this results in lower production of the crops and creates a scarcity, causing a rise in the price of the products. At the global level, another major external reason that was beyond our control and contributed to the abnormal rise in prices and of commodities in general was the Ukraine war. The war began in the last week of April and caused a huge increase in the prices of commodities, especially fuel, from the month of March up to May. The price of petrol and diesel reached a record high during those months. And this led to an increase in transportation cost and thus in the landing prices of final goods to our state. The retail inflation during the months of April 2022 was 90% higher than the previous year, 7.8% in April 2022 compared to 4.2% in April 2021. It should also be kept in mind, sir, that Meghalaya, being a landlocked state, is dependent on road transportation and road transportation for transportation of fuel, the cost of which comparatively is higher, and transportation cost forms a substantial part of the retail prices. So while we are speaking of fuel prices, I'd like to mention out here that Meghalaya has consistently levied the lowest rate of tax on petrol and diesel amongst all states in India. And even as I speak and I stand here today, though there was an increase, the increase was done because there was a huge difference between our rates and the rates of the other states. And hence we have increased the rates, but it is still the lowest in the country. As a state government, it is important for us to balance both the utility and the overall convenience for the public, but we also have to see revenue, as we have to pay large expenditures we have to incur in order to run the state in a smooth manner. And hence, even though we have increased marginally the rates, we are still the lowest rate in the country today, sir. So while I talk of the rates also, I would like to just touch on GST rates, as was mentioned by a large number of the members who had spoken about the rates today. And sir, I would like to state, sir, that this particular rate that was increased and the imposition of GST was put on pre-packed and labeled food, so was a decision that was taken unanimously. There was a consensus on this. And even the states that are in the non-ruling side in the terms of a non-BJP, as was mentioned earlier, even those states agreed to levying this particular tax or GST on this pre-packed labeled foods. So therefore, it was a consensus. All the states and each and every member in the GST Council agreed to it. In fact, the fitment committee that was there, which consisted of officers from Rajasthan, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Haryana, Gujarat, they all examined these recommendations and modalities, and only then did the recommendations come in. So it is also important to note that the tax that was imposed on these items, it is not that it has not been done before, sir. Even earlier also, taxes, pre-GST regime I'm talking about, even in the pre-GST regime, taxes were imposed on such articles. And as per the statements made by the Honorable Finance Minister herself, she said that the tax was imposed in order to prevent the misuse of earlier provisions, as per which only those items were taxed that were sold under registered brand or brands on which enforceable right was not foregone by the supplier. A rampant misuse of this provision was observed by reputed manufacturers and brand owners, and gradually GST revenue from these items fell significantly. This was represented by suppliers and industry associations who were paying taxes on branded goods. And they wrote to the government to impose GST uniformly on all packaged commodities to stop the misuse. So in this also it's important to note that by imposing this on these food items on the packed food, there is a clarification that the GST on food items like vegetables, fruits, meat, and so on, mostly fresh and frozen foods, are subject to nil GST, even now, sir. And the GST exemption, and are exempted. And the GST rates apply solely to food items contained in containers which are with a brand name, sir. Hence, it would be incorrect to generalize saying that all food items have been taxed in the GST. So further, I would like to mention here that some of the members had mentioned and spoken about the different expenditures and the fact that the overall flow of funds in the economy has reduced, and that has led to overall unemployment and other factors and economic slowdown. So I would just like to read out some numbers for the knowledge and for the information of the House, that the expenditure that has been incurred in the last 4 years has been the highest that the state government and the state has seen. And just to give a comparative assessment, between 2014 and 2018, the average expenditure by the state government was 8,800 crores. Compared to the expenditure that took place in between 2018 to 2022-23 now, has gone up on an average from 8,800 crores to today to 14,500 crores. So almost a 70 to 80% increase in the average expenditure by the state government. And this obviously clearly reflects the amount of money that flows into the economy, and obviously as a government expenditure, it leads to overall increase of the flow, and that multiplies into the benefits for the public. So some of the members had mentioned about the small-time contractors and the fact that payments were not being given or sufficient amount was not being released. I would just like to read out some numbers for the knowledge of the House, that in 2014-15, 346 crores was released for minor works, which is the category which was mentioned. In 2015-16, 377 crores. In 2016-17, 414. 2017-18, 341. From 2018-19, it went up to 440 crores. 2019-20, 438 crores. 2020-21, 640 crores. 2021-22, 843 crores. And 22-23, 996 crores. So clearly we can see that from 2014, an amount of 346 for minor works, which means the small contractors which were being mentioned, the expenditure went up from 346 to today at 996 crores per year. So this is a clear reflection of the amount of money that is being spent. I'm sure the members are concerned, but I think after hearing these numbers, they'll be convinced that their perception was not correct and the information was not correct. So hence, sir, we have seen that the overall expenditure for minor works for the small contractors went up by 82% in the last 4 years. Sir, apart from that, the honorable members had mentioned about MG and REGS and how come, what is expenditure that is going on and why aren't we spending so much money in the last 6 months. Sir, normally and generally every financial year, because of the weather conditions, the first 6 months are always very less compared to the dry seasons. So there could be a possibility that in the last 6 months, and of course we saw the heavy rains, the work did not happen at the pace that we expected. But that happens, sir. And we expect that the numbers will go up as we move along. But here, sir, I would like to draw the attention of the honorable member and also the House, that if you look at the numbers and the facts, they will reveal that Meghalaya is doing far better than what it was doing earlier. So just to give you a comparative analysis, the state of Uttarakhand is far bigger than us, sir. And they spend about 700 crores per year on MG and REGS. Whereas Meghalaya had spent close to 1,367 crores in 1 year, sir. And that number is only going up. So even though we are much smaller than the state of Uttarakhand, our MG and REG's expenditure is almost double of the state of Uttarakhand. A big state like Assam, which touches about 2,500 crores in MGNREGS, is another great example to show that even though they may be 10 times bigger than us in terms of population, the amount that we spend compared to Assam also is quite similar, where the expenditures and the amount going in fact, MGNREGS played a very, very vital role, sir, overall, in the overall employment and rural livelihood programs. And even today, Meghalaya is one of the few states that is taking maximum advantage of the overall expenditure. And this is helping the people at the grassroots level get additional income. Sir, of course, this is a number which is there for everybody to look at. I'm not saying that this is a good number or a bad number, or that we should simply look at this and say, you know, we are satisfied. But according to the PLFS, the unemployment rate in Arunachal Pradesh is 6. In Manipur is 5.9. In Nagaland is 20.8. In Meghalaya, it is 1.8. In the whole of Northeast, apart from Sikkim, which is at 1.2, and the national average of 4.6, the unemployment rate in Meghalaya is at 1.8, one of the lowest in the country today. Does that mean that we have nothing to be concerned about? Absolutely not, sir. These are numbers, figures, surveys. There could be some standard deviation errors. We don't know, sir, but it gives a sense of comparative analysis to show that where we stand. Should we be complacent? Absolutely not. We need to work even harder, sir. And that's the reason why we realized that the only way to move forward in order to create more employment at the grassroots level is to be able to have different kind of programs, especially related to agriculture and to tourism, and obviously agriculture and allied sectors like veterinary. Now, so I'll just start off with veterinary, because there was a concern about the rates of beef and other products going up. And of course, sir, this is something that is of concern. We understand that there are many factors that lead to the different kind of price rise, sometimes created because of policies made by other states, which then we have to negotiate and try to figure out how to move forward with. But sir, at the end of the day, the only way for us to move forward when it comes to especially food consumption is to ensure that we are self-sufficient. That is the long-term way to move forward. And if we become self-sufficient, then we will be able to not only take care of our own supply, but more importantly, the money that we give to buy the meat which goes into the pockets of people from outside the state will not go out anymore. And hence, moving towards a self-sufficiency model is the way forward for us. And that is the reason why, sir, we have been working very hard, and I must congratulate the animal husbandry and the veterinary department for exemplary work, sir. Very, very focused. The Honorable Minister and all the officials have been working very dedicatedly. Today, sir, if you were to look at the programs that we have had, where we are going for artificial insemination and getting semen from the Ongol bulls, we have seen that this has really worked well. And this is just an example, sir. I don't want to go into details. But we have been able to see that about 304 calves were crossbreeded, and the calves have gained a weight of 160 kgs in just 6 months. Just in 6 months. And normally our local breeds are not able to achieve that kind of a weight even after 2 to 3 years. So these kind of interventions are really showing results, and I'm sure that we will be able to, in the long run, I'm not saying we'll see the results immediately, but what we have to understand, that price fluctuation is something that has many factors in it, but we can have very specific interventions and slowly and steadily work towards regularizing, or you can say becoming self-sufficient and having some level of control towards the supply, so that the price doesn't fluctuate much. So the demand is there. It's the supply that is fluctuating the price right now. And hence, if we are able to increase the supply, then we'll be able to achieve this. Hence, different kind of programs. This is one. We have the Progress Mission, sir, which is the Rural Backyard Poultry Scheme under the Progress Mission. And here also, sir, we are distributing piglets to different farmers at the grassroots level, again with the objective of becoming self-sufficient. So we consume approximately about 18,000 metric tons of pork every year. If you were to multiply that by an average rate of 350 rupees, we are talking of 630 crores worth of pork is being bought. And out of this, close to 50% comes from outside, which means almost about 300 crores plus is always sent to other states and other farmers in different parts of the country. And hence, if we are able to increase our own production, we will be able to see a decrease in the price or stabilization of the price, and we'll be able to also see our own farmers benefiting from these kind of missions. So similarly, like we're doing, and many more missions are going on, so I don't want to go into all of that. Similarly, sir, in other programs that we're doing, like for example, our Lakadong mission that we have, we have our programs where we are distributing, we are training as well as, we are in Lakadong, sir, almost 13,000 farmers today are engaged, which is an increase of almost 13 times more than what it was 4 years back. 4 years back, there were only 1,000 farmers engaged in Lakadong plantation. Today, we have 13,000 farmers producing almost close to 12,000 metric tons of Lakadong. And we have set up solar-powered processing units run by women's self-help groups today. And we are also in the process of extracting curcumin directly. So all the value addition is being done, as was being mentioned by some of the honorable members. And it just so happens that the honorable member had mentioned about Rindia and the silk. Sir, I'm happy to tell you that the shirt I'm wearing right now is actually made from Rindia. And this has been made by our local weavers. And this color is a natural dye. And not only that, sir, this has been designed and stitched by our local designers. This is a pure and a complete made in Meghalaya shirt, sir. And this is the kind of products that we are encouraging. So people were asking me, why did you wear this today? I said, well, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of wearing the products that are being made by our own people. This has been woven by one women's self-help group somewhere in some village. And our designers have made this. So like this, sir, there are many areas where we are working on ensuring that this value addition takes place, be it Lakadong mission, be it the honey mission, be it our milk mission. In ginger mission, sir, we have distributed more than 3,000 metric tons of materials to almost 18,000 farmers. We spent 23 crores to do this, sir. And our target is to be able to touch almost close to about 1 lakh plus metric tons of production and be at least in the top 2. Today, Assam is the largest producer. We are at number 6, but we can and we have the potential of being, if not number 1, the number 2 in the country, and maybe even being number 1. Simply because our area is smaller, sir. We may not be able to compete with larger states in terms of that, but definitely we have a huge potential simply because farmers are taking a great level of interest. So these areas are the ways in which we are seeing that the self-sufficiency for our products and self-sufficiency should come up in different areas. And that is where we have different programs like even the entrepreneurs, sir, because we realize that without entrepreneurs, the farmers are not able to collectivize their produce. Today, we may be helping farmers with Focus program, with Focus Plus program, with the piggery program, and the different missions that we have. But at the end of the day, we collectivize the farmers, form them into groups, but until and unless we don't have an entrepreneur who can then bring them all together and add the commercial and the value to it, package it, and send it across, we will not be able to achieve that. And hence, we have many programs like the Prime program and different entrepreneurship programs that we are running to be able to achieve that. We realize that there are a lot of loopholes in terms of storage space not available, cold storage is not being there. In the recent past, we have put up many cold storages in different locations. I have a long list out here in different areas we have put up, and right now we have about 11 of them. These cold storages, some of them are completely solar powered cold storages, and we intend to go across the state and provide cold storage, and not just cold storage, basic storage facilities, as well as farmers markets, so that the accessibility and the place to sell is there. So these kind of initiatives all are being taken to ensure that the overall support is there for the farmers. We are distributing vegetable seeds to them. We have different programs. We have a agri-response vehicle system, the 1917, and as we speak, sir, we are finalizing the list of beneficiaries for the 200 Mahindra pickups that we intend to have. So earlier we only had 28 or 25 1917 pickup vehicles, but that will now go 10 times, and we will have about 200 plus vehicles that will be serving the farmers. And a similar program is being done for tourism also. So hence these different interventions have been made in order to ensure that our overall productivity and self-sufficiency comes up. Because as I said, without that, we will not be able to achieve the ultimate stability, and supply will always fluctuate, which means the prices will always fluctuate in our state, sir. So at the same time, I would like to mention that we've also realized that supporting the individuals and the poor especially at the grassroots level is absolutely necessary. And small but important steps are being taken. So from this month of October, I'm happy to inform everybody on the floor of this house that the senior citizens and the pensions for people with disability and the single mothers will be increased from 6,000 rupees per year to 9,000 rupees per year, sir. So this will really, has been a long demand of these people who have been suffering and not getting sufficient amount. I understand this may not be completely sufficient for them to take care of all their needs, but wherever possible, sir, we are trying to intervene and help the different sections of society in whatever way possible that we have, sir. Sir, apart from that, so there were so many points, so I'm not being able to go as per the sequence, but I'll try to cover whatever we can, sir. Sir, apart from that, I think there's a long reply that has been made by the department for me. I don't wish to read it. It's almost going to take me maybe an hour or an hour and a half. And hence, I have tried to just restrict to the points that have been mentioned by the members, and try to also give an idea to the members who have participated today that this is, of course, a very, very important issue. And earlier I had discussed it with the Agriculture Minister because it was directed to him. I had told him that this is a subject that involves agriculture, veterinary, taxation, transportation, and many other factors, and hence it will be important that that I should take it up. And there's a reason why we have tried to cover all these aspects. Now, I remember that some members had mentioned that there are certain issues of illegal collections, and also the fact that in Tura market also, that there have been people who have been taxing individuals and shops. And I'm happy to inform the honorable member that we are aware of these practices, and some of these practices were going on for a very, very long time. And maybe I think first time in the history of Tura town, there was a firm action taken in this regards. Not only were certain organizations and action was taken certain organizations and individuals, but we also called all the traders, we called all the municipal officials, we called all the different stakeholders and had a meeting and decided that we're going to come out with price sheets. May not be in the immediate future, but as we move along, we'll come up with price sheets so that the traders also, as well as the public, knows the prices of the products. And as rightly mentioned by the honorable member, that there were certain individuals and organizations that were taxing the people. And in fact, in the first go itself, instance itself, the sweet market, every product in the sweet market, one Rasgulla or one, what do you call that, Lal Mohan or something it's called, all the products, they saw a 100% or 50% decrease in the prices. So from 20 rupees, it went down to 10 rupees. From 30 rupees, it went down to 15 rupees. So all these steps are being taken. Some of the members have mentioned that there were some gates by certain councils that were set up, and if those can be looked into, as was mentioned by the honorable members themselves, that we had called a meeting and action was proposed to be taken, and we had told, and the district councils had told us that they will take the action. And maybe in some cases the action has not been taken as per the decision that was taken on that day. I can assure the honorable member that we will once again call a review of this and ensure that not just there but wherever these kind of mechanisms are there which will lead to an increase in the price for the final consumer, which is not necessary at all and can completely be taken off, the government will take every step possible to ensure that. And I've started it by doing it in my own constituency, I should say. So Tura town itself, this issue was happening. I called up the DC and SP and I said, there is no reason why for unnecessary illegal forces that the public at large should suffer. And hence that step was taken, and I'm happy today that if not in one go, slowly and steadily we are, dismantling these different kind of systems that are in place that are illegally collecting money, which is leading to increase in the price. And as we move along, we will try our best to ensure that this kind of activities are completely stopped. And because, as I said, they are very complex. It's not that it's a very simple mechanism. There's very complicated going on for many, many years. And dismantling these kind of systems also requires the political will. And let me assure you, sir, we have started it with Tura. We will do our best to try and see how we can ensure that these kind of systems are not there in any part of the state, sir. Sir, I have tried my best to cover many different points and topics that have been mentioned. I would conclude by saying that at the end of the day, demand and supply is the major crux of every kind of price fluctuation that takes place. In terms of demand, we know what our demands are, but it is a supply factor that is always the part that affects us. And in the long run, the only way to get supply neutralized is to ensure that the overall production within our state goes up. We are able to support and help our farmers, be it in terms of allied sector or be it directly the agriculture in terms of vegetables and other products and fruits. We need to be able to increase our own production in food, own production in pork, in beef, in all these products. We should be able to increase our production, and all different government programs are targeting to do that. And we have seen significant increase in the revenues and the outcome also. And that is the way forward. In terms of the taxes that are there, as I mentioned, sir, the petrol taxes today that are levied, Meghalaya has the lowest rate on fuel in the country today, sir. And we were even lower than this, but we had to increase it, still keeping ourselves lower than the rest of the country, simply because we also need the revenue to pay for a large number of expenditures. Regarding the GST issue, I've mentioned, sir, this particular tax that was imposed is not for our goods that are like vegetables, fruits and meats and so on and so forth, and not for like fresh and frozen food subjects, because the GST is nil on them, but it is solely for food items contained in containers with a brand name, sir. And this was done on a consensus basis. All states throughout the country have agreed to it, including states that are run by Congress or by Trinamool or by any other. They all agreed that this is something that needs to be done in order to ensure that there is no tax evasion that is taking place. And overall, in our own policies and whatever illegal systems are there, we will strengthen our policies, sir, to ensure that wherever we can improve things. And at the end, sir, wherever there are these kind of illegal activities, I can assure everybody that action will be taken to ensure that these kind of activities and collections and these kind of interventions are neutralized, sir. So with these few words and with the different points that I've mentioned, I hope I have been able to satisfy, to some extent at least, the concerns of the honorable members. Thank you very much.
Thank you.